How's it going, everybody? Hang on one second. Okay, we're going to get Tiffany Keefer up here. Let me just get her video turned on. Oh, you got it. Mute. Oh, wait, I muted you. How's it going, Tiffany?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit weary. This is the 17th show in 6 days.
Oh, wow.
I got
That's,
one more, and then I'm going to take a break for tomorrow, I hope.
that's a
I'm
lot.
just a little tired. There's a lot of energy coming in, it feels like to me.
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to talk about that today because
Thank you.
there's amazing energy coming in right now.
I am getting, yeah, like it started like maybe 2 days ago. Um,
Yes,
is that right? Is that accurate with you?
it's
2 days
it's
ago?
very accurate.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
happening is we're receiving almost downloads and coding that is to our collective, uh, opening up our codes and within our DNA. It's also restoring our light bodies within. It's transmuting any of the old frequencies, especially the people who are, I call them first fruits, because they've really done the inner uh, cleansing and cleaning of their soul, and twin flames kind of energies and things like that. Those on those journeys, they're really receiving a lot of energies right now, downloads. This is part of like where you're receiving your soul missions. You're receiving your quests. That's what I call them, because we each go on a quest to do our clearing and our healing and adventures. This is opening up our passions and our joy. This energy that's coming in, it's very creative energy. So it's healing, that part that maybe you're stuck in a job and it's not something that you're really happy about, or something that you felt your soul being ignited with. This is going to be something that's going to shift you out of it. Same with relationships.
Yeah, it seems like it's the same stuff we've been getting. It's just going to a deeper level. Although, all the stuff that you just named, I mean, it seems like that's been coming in waves. For me, I know the last couple of days, 2, 3 days is, I do these shows and then I'm getting knocked down a lot. Like I just finished a show 2 hours before this one started, and I laid down and put my alarm on, and for I think 55 minutes, and it seems like I guess I went to sleep, and I was up. It just felt like 2 minutes later. And I don't know where the 55 minutes went, but yeah, it just seems I can feel it in the body. Uh, it's not really fatigue, but it's a lot of energies being exerted.
So one way of being able to help with that is doing the breath of life. I kind of showed it on another radio show yesterday, but it's restoring and rebuilding your inner muscles within, and it's really simple to do. It's breathing in through your nose to the count of 7. We can go ahead. I can tell you how to do it, and then we can do it together, and um,
Yeah,
you'll be able to feel the frequency of this.
I
So
uh, I was able to watch a lot of that show last night. I don't know how much I watched. It was a long show. His
it
shows,
really was.
yeah,
I'm
his show.
sorry.
I did a
I
show with him
wasn't
the other.
expecting it to be so
Yeah,
long, but when spirit speaks, it speaks. I'm sorry. That's
right.
all that happens,
Y-
and it just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
tuned
rolls.
in. I tuned in. I would really recommend it, and hopefully we can cover some of those issues. But yeah, I was on his show the other night, and we went an hour and a half. And I'm like, I got to go, man. I can't go any longer than this. But yeah, I tuned in. I think about an hour, a little over an hour into it. I was back and forth because I had shows too, but I I caught the twin, what you refer to as a twin flame. A lot of people, feel that term's been distorted, but if we can get past the semantics, and just focus on what was being said, I thought it was very, very good. And even some of the other information that you had. So, and then this would be a third piece, would be the breathing. So yeah, if you want to take us through it, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll start. So what you do is you breathe in through your nose. And the reason why you're breathing in through your nose, we filter what we eat, we filter what we drink, but we don't filter what we breathe in. And around us, I see the spiritual field more than I see the actual physical field. And so around us is nothing but spirit, um, all different types of spirits. When you see orbs and things like that in the sky, in pictures and things like that, gray orbs, blue orbs, yellow orbs, they all have a frequency. And so we're breathing that in. And some of them are here to remove their karmic track through your vessel.
Yeah.
So if you're breathing that in, then you're accepting their karmic track, right? So this is a breath that helps you filter out those energies and helps you move yourself into a higher vibration. So these frequencies can't even come into you at all. It
Mm.
restores your inner foundation and it helps you to really grow the muscles of loving yourself, valuing yourself, and honoring your vessel. And so I call it the breath of life because it brought life back to me. It healed me from every ailment I ever had, and I physically have gone through so much things. I think we all have, but we all have our story in that. And this healed me from epilepsy. I've had people with cancer that I've given it to. So it really is something that when you use this as a practice daily, it starts rebuilding your inner foundation. Okay.
Right.
So the way that you do it is you breathe in through your nose to the count of 7. You fill up your whole entire upper chest. You hold it to the count of 3. And then you exhale from your nose into your heart. So it's almost like sighing into your heart. So you're like, you can feel your whole body just shift and move.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and we'll do it. So breathe in. Hold. And release. So everything's through your nose. So I was watching you. When you're breathe in through your nose, hold it in your chest for 3 seconds. And then point your nose down to your heart, Todd. There you go. And then exhale from your nose.
Mm.
You feel that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
You
feel
feel that shift in yourself. So if you do this breath for 20 minutes every morning, I used to be an engineer, civil structural engineer, and built foundations for commercial buildings, hospitals, and different things for a very, very long time. And now I can see the body energetically like that, like the blueprint, the Christ blueprint, that kind of thing. I can see all that, and I can see where, where we need to be restored and where we're, not built in different places. And this breath is something that helps rebuild all of that. Scientifically, what it does is it sparks the neurons in the brain, the codons. It starts to rebuild your neuropeptides. And it starts to, because you're breathing straight oxygen into your brain. So when you're breathing that oxygen in, it's sending the right signals to the brain. And then your brain is your operational, thing. So what it does is it connects the heart, the brain that's in the heart, because there's a brain in the heart. It connects the brain on the top of your head, your pineal gland, your seat, and it sends the right kind of signals all throughout your whole entire body. We also have a brain that's within our stomach, which most people say, that gut feeling I got. Well, that's part of that too. And so that's rebuilding that. So people that have indigestion and different problems with their intestines and different things like that are very disconnected from source energy, and that's part of this this oxygen that they're missing from their bodies.
Mm.
So this breath gives it to you.
So I used a technique, or have used a technique for years, which I had, I think my first well, it wasn't. I think my first Kundalini experience, first couple of them were in my like 26 years old, 27. But yeah, I'm not bringing it up for that reason. Just that I know it's been effective. It helps me to relax my heart rate, and I guess relax my body. And so I'm just asking because of the difference. I know in that particular method, you breathe in just like you said, and you fill up the top of your lungs, and you hold it for the count of four, and then you blow out through your pursed lips for 8 seconds. Um, and then there's another phase where it's like a box breathing, four, 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 four. So what's the difference in the exhale when you're going through the nose versus pierce through your lips?
So when you're exhaling, when you're breathing in through your nose and you're exhaling through your nose into your heart, you're
Mm,
connecting the heart and the mind together as
mm,
one unit. So you're almost creating a connection between the
okay.
two
So
when
is
you're doing
that
it.
is that done just automatically by the breathing technique, or do you hold that intention when you're doing it?
So when you're doing the breath, I'll be honest with you, I make love to the breath. So that's kind of what it is. It's
Mm,
like you're having an intimate relationship with the energies, the divine energies, the divine
yeah,
source energies within.
yeah. It sounds like a fusion of the physical and the non-physical too,
Very much so.
which is cool.
Very much so.
That
It's
yeah,
reuniting you to your spirit and having the physical and the mental merge with it.
right, right. So yeah, in catching that show, of course, I think you were supposed to be on a few days before I was on. I think I saw an ad, and it
Yeah.
was around the time that Joyce and I, or that Joyce connected you and I. So it all kind of happened at the same time. I didn't even know you were the same person, and I saw Greg was going to have this. I thought I saw Greg was going to have this person on that was going to talk about DNA and twin flame, and I thought, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Because I don't watch a lot of shows, and I thought, well, I have to catch that. Then I noticed it was canceled. Then we connected, and I was like, oh,
Well,
it's the
thank
same
you,
person.
Mercury retrograde. I had trouble with the internet. I wasn't like literally was not. I couldn't even get any kind of internet whatsoever. It
Yeah,
was crazy.
I guess the timing wasn't where it needed to be.
It wasn't
So and
divinely.
so that
It wasn't divinely
right.
scheduled.
So I promise I won't keep you here 2 or 3 hours like Greg, but I love the work he's doing. By the way,
Oh,
he
he's
really is. The more
amazing.
the more I yeah, the more I get to know him, and in fact, I don't do a lot of interviews, where I'm on your side of the screen, but I actually, and I don't know why I was led to do it last night. I started, I guess I was just killing time or something. I was watching the interview I did with him, and he's really a really good interviewer. He really is, and he's really just doing a great job, and has for many years. So I just want to give him a big props. But you talked about, so you had the DNA, you've got the twin flame thing, and I wanted to cover both of those, both of those subjects because you really had a
I'm
connection
not
there.
understanding what you're saying. I don't know if it's your mic or something like that, but it's like real fuzzy to me.
Is it really? Can you hear me? Or should I make an adjustment? Can you hear me all right?
Can you adjust it a little bit?
Is it low, high? Is it
It's just sounds like you've got like static going on in
okay?
it.
Hang on a second. I'm having a problem. I've been having a problem off and on. Let me try something else.
Okay.
Okay, how's this?
That sounds a little bit better.
Sounds better?
Yeah, at least I can hear you now.
You can hear me. Okay.
Yep.
So I saw, and sorry about that. So I saw, of course, the twin flame subject, the DNA, which I think is a big thing to be talked about today. And you did something else. I'm not really into, and I don't mean to be rude to anybody. I'm not really into the dog and pony shows. We have a lot of people, 1,700, almost 1,800 episodes, have come on here. They can read people. They have different skills and abilities. But you did something last night with Greg that was, again, it was very unique, and it seemed to be very clear. You were talking about, and I didn't catch it all, but you were talking about what you see and how you can read people. And then Greg said to you, read me. And
Right.
you did. And I thought you did a really good job. I'm not saying that it's 100% correct or not 100% correct or anything. I'm just saying it was a little different delivery. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. And I guess because I'm here, not because I want it done for me, because I'm who knows what you're going to see. It might be embarrassing, but no, seriously. Yeah, could you just demonstrate to everybody kind of what you did last night? Is that okay?
Okay, yeah. So what I'm able to do, like I said, is I'm able to see like the energetic field. I'm able to see like where you're blocked, what's holding you back, um, what's not allowing your energies to flow freely or in a divine flow, and also what might be causing disease or what might be something that's blocking you from love or relationships, or there's all kinds of different stuff that's in our body that we stuff energy, right? So when we stuff energy, scientifically, it's called metabolical waste, and it goes into the cells and it clogs up the actual flow of our cells, our tissues, and our organs. And after a while, that starts building up and causing disease. Um,
So,
so,
so
as
as
far
I, yeah, as I understood it, I think, and I'm trying to like compile the information or pull the information back up because I exposed myself to a lot of stuff yesterday in terms of just listening and reading. But I think it was you, and you were basically saying that the energy develops almost like in pockets or areas of the body. The energy itself. I think you made the comment last night that you can actually that everything that obviously everything that happens is a result of the energetic imbalance or whatever, but that it actually accumulates in certain areas. I
right,
think, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, like a heartbreak for someone would accumulate around the heart.
Mm,
And the more that they would be used or taken advantage of, or any of that kind of stuff, it builds upon that, can cause breast cancer, can
mm-hmm,
cause heart attacks, mostly in men, is heart attacks, in women, breast cancer.
mm,
And it's an accumulation of energy that you've accumulated since you were a child. And some of us have actually accumulated even more than that because we're old souls. So
yeah,
we've brought in and to clear our ancestral energy too.
yeah.
We've taken on that blueprint, so to speak, and so we have it even more so where we had to release this energy, and we weren't taught this. We weren't taught how to release energy. We weren't taught that our thoughts, every thought that comes through you is from spirit. Is it from a lower frequency spirit, or is it from a higher frequency spirit? So when we're looking at that, we're looking in the collective of it, and there's a lot of stuff out there. But as far as you've done a lot of inner reflection, I want to say, because it shows in your aura, it shows in your being, it shows that you've kind of gone through and cleared out a lot of belief systems that were taught to you from your childhood
Mm,
and restored some of that. What I'm seeing in you, as far as so I'll just get to what is blocking you. You have definitely a block on your abundance.
mm.
You have that held. I don't know if it's held back or if it's something, because I can't really tell all the way into you for that as far as that goes. But you definitely have a block in your abundance. You should be, um, you know, much more into the inheritance part of it. And I think what's holding that back is an energetic energy for that's blocking that. So also it could be something that has happened to you in the past, like you could have had being a missionary. You could have experienced what they would call poverty or poverty stricken type lack energy, and so clearing that would be a very great thing for us to do. And then what I also see is there's still some things around your heart that could be cleared out, that could help you to really experience um, a love that's uh, is more pure than what you already have, because you really do have an amazing relationship kind of energy with your wife. And I can see that in you, like you inner reflect her, like your reflection of her shows. So there's things too that I could help clear from her that would help you. You know what I mean? Because like she is your inner foundation. She is the reflection of your inner foundation, and you're the reflection of hers. So clearing both of you would really help out as far as moving and shifting energies. And so, you know, I could offer that for you guys.
Very interesting. And you know, another thing that's interesting, you said the thing about the abundance, which I think I heard you tell Greg the same thing. I think a lot of us might be, um, you know, susceptible to that. It would make sense, otherwise the whole world would be abundant. But um, so I've gone up against it many times. So I've gone into that introspection many times, and I'm just saying this as an example hopefully to help other people. But one of the things that I came across yesterday in my own self introspection was the presence. And you just mentioned this, but was the presence of oaths, oaths or vows,
Yes.
plural, in past incarnation, and they were having to do with choosing a certain lifestyle. I don't know if it was priest, but you know, some type of group that bowed together, you know, that lived together as a community, but lived in great modesty, you know. And
Well,
I guess
when
poverty.
we have our when we have our soul family connection, we have a soul family connection. A lot of us made vows and contracts with each other
Yeah,
that was to clear and help each other clear. And I believe that like you and Greg are in that connection of soul
yeah,
connection to help clear each other. And part of it is abundance. Part of it is
yeah,
running that system and clearing out the old energy that
yeah,
has formed. Um, like you guys have a past energy that
yeah.
is connected that you guys have now harmonized in this lifetime.
Yeah, it's I wanted to say that because there's some, you know, there's no coincidences. So there's to give you some validation there. And the thing that struck me yesterday about it was, you know, you think of having to disavow or
I'm having a hard time hearing you again.
oh, you are. Hmm.
That's better.
I don't know what's going on here. Hang on, let me try. How's that?
Oh my gosh, there you go.
I don't
Now
know. I don't know what's happening. Um, but
it's
you know, you think sometimes, like you heard people writing and doing videos a year or two ago talking about removing all oaths, um, promises, you know, from past lives in regard to relationships. But you never, yesterday when this came to me, I thought, well, I would have never thought about taking a poverty vow, you know? So I did, I went to work on them, you know, and, but I thought that was interesting. Now I'm talking to you about it. So that's,
well, I think that we all, when we did missionary back in, you know, those times and everything else, and we kind of, you know, touch base on this. We're in a loop, like a time loop right now, and we're experiencing the loop of revelations in the Bible, the biblical prophecies, not just biblical because this goes further than biblical. This goes into, you know, almost every religion or Buddhism, every one of them have a creation of this, meaning the end of days, the end of those times, the end of those old energies, all that stuff is in almost every single one of them. And so it's us, you know, restoring that and bringing it back to life, bringing back, you know, the true creation of love, the true creation of God, source energy, and not the old energy, the old frequencies that we all have, you know, played part in. So this time loop that we're in is almost as if we are clearing our past but it's in the present that we're doing it.
Mm.
And so we all, back in those days, we had the lack of poverty or whatever you want to call it as part of our contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just let's see. Everybody bear with us. All the technical stuff will work itself out. That's all. That's the best we can do. Now they're talking about you. They can barely hear you. But I think we're okay. So
Well,
now,
I've
in,
got
in,
noise
in
going on where I'm at. So
what's that?
I said I have some noise in the background where I'm
Yeah,
at.
yeah. It'll work out. It'll work. So, and what about now? You had a lot to say about these couples. You seem to have a lot of information on it, and it was both. Obviously, there's some sacred wisdom that you've picked up on or connected to, but you also had some very human perspectives. Kind of like rules of the road, kind of like this is the real world. I mean, all this stuff up here is the vital information that it is. But you also had some pretty down to earth observations and advice when it came to these couples. Could
So
you elaborate on that?
you mean the twin flame?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as our twin flame energies and stuff go, like I said, it's a soul journey, and we are reconnecting our souls, right? So we're two forms in one soul. So we have to really look at this journey as being one person in two forms, right? Because if you look at it as being separated, then you're judging, you're putting them in a lower frequency than you. You're not allowing the pure love to really unite or harmonize. You're not allowing things to integrate the way that they need to. So it's very important that we look at it as your two parts, right? And you've been split. One soul being split into two different forms, and you have to really adjust the way you are about that. You have to act as if you're spoken for. You have to act as if you're already in that divine relationship. You have to see whatever that person, like for you, you're within that relationship. Some of us have married our twins and have gone through what they call a karmic cleansing through the marriage. Like, I think that's maybe something you've experienced, Todd. And so it's almost as if you guys have gradually been able to come back together as one soul, and you guys are still working in that energy, shifting that energy. I apologize about the noise.
It's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. One of the things that you also pointed out, I don't know if you explicitly said it, but you made it very obvious. And that
I'm sorry. Excuse
okay.
me, you guys. Can you guys please keep it down a little bit? I understand it's open to everybody, but I would appreciate it if you guys would keep it down a little bit. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It's okay. So one of the things that seemed to come through with what you were saying was, because a lot of people, you asked a question at one point. You just asked a rhetorical question. You said, who here doesn't want to have that pure love with another, so along those lines, implying and alluding that we might try too hard sometimes, that a lot of people are chasing something that isn't the right fit. And so you basically, kind of it came across on what you were saying, that you'll know when you'll know who it is, basically. You won't have to like convince yourself. You won't have to like put a square peg in a round hole. And I thought that was a really good advice, because a lot of people have been, a victim of that, so to speak. And I thought it was really good advice. I hadn't heard somebody come out and say it that way.
So what I integrated on that was that, when we find our twin flame, it's something that we're seeing ourselves in. Like we actually see ourselves in their eyes. We see ourselves in their actions. We see ourselves in all kinds of different things like that. There's been so many just like misconceptions, so much false energies about the twins, all this stuff. Like I was talking to a lady just recently who said, I don't even believe in the twin flame relationship anymore. And it's because, they've had so many false advertisement, so to speak. So, when you're with your twin, it's more of an inner journey where
Yeah.
you are learning your own self so much that you are becoming the reflection of that self.
Yeah.
Right. So I say it the way as, God's designing me, why he's also designing my twin, but through me.
Right.
So it's almost as if you're receiving, like I always say that, I'm designing myself to be the gift to God, to all men, right, to all masculine, while God's designing the masculine for me.
Yeah.
So by doing that, you're actually putting all of the energy within to the creator's energy, and you're creating this masculine or this feminine for
Yeah.
yourself to experience, right?
Yes.
And so when we get in these other relationships, they're the wrong frequency. They weren't meant for us. They weren't meant for us to, to have intercourse with, or to actually share our energies with. But because these lower frequencies knew that, they also knew our weaknesses. They knew that we didn't know what pure love was. And so we weren't taught it when we were younger. Our relationships didn't show us it. None of the modeling that we had was something that we could actually say, okay, this is a relationship. And I'm not going to say everyone, because I've seen relationships that are built on a pure love's foundation.
Yeah.
But it usually takes a long time for someone to establish that.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you were talking about that I thought was on point was that these are really different types of relationships than what we're used to. What you just said a minute ago substantiates that as well. It's a whole different
Level.
type of thing, and it's like there's no guidebook. It's you're literally kind of finding out as you go. And you're right. I like what you said too about the inner journey, because there's a lot of walking into the unknown. There's a lot of surrendering, and there's a lot of different levels of a higher love that are not really relatable to in the human experience, but all perfect and all good and all expanding.
So with this relationship, like most relationships become very possessive. People become possessive of the relationship. They become controlling. Like in an old modeling relationship, it's more about how that person can fulfill you. In this relationship, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you learning how to fulfill yourself and allowing this person to be that extension of that fulfillment.
Yeah.
And that's what people are really having the hardest thing of understanding or coming to grips with, is that you have to come together as a unit,
Yeah.
and one energy. So like where you used to argue and everything else in your relationships, that is something that when you are going through this journey, you actually are compromising with the energy.
Yeah.
You're telepathically communicating with this energy. You're coming together with this energy. This is an exceptional relationship that's given to us by the divine.
Yes. And the other thing too, it's to me, it seems like, and I think metaphorically, actually, energetically, etherically, for instance, in our case, we've been handed, say, a pre-existing template, like a template of union that went as far as it could in its time. Let's just say that. And that part of it too is expanding that template And again, it's not like you're getting direction. It's more of that intuitive, spontaneous flow of just, we've all experienced like doing a ritual when we don't even know why we're doing it, or, different things that we're driven to do. That seems to be part of it as well. So it has a lot of the characteristics and attributes of the solo journey of the soul. It just now you have an external reflection, which is actually it really changes the math potentially if you can kind of stay within the constructs of the code it's written on.
Well, what it is it's like I said, it's a soul journey.
Yeah.
You're reuniting to your soul, and that's what is the whole importance of this is we've been fed this tainted love for so long,
Yeah.
and it has caused us so much pain, so much suffering, so much heartbreak and heartache, and and it's and the twin flame relationship. What you have to understand too is that you're mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially connected.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're giving to this relationship, and that relationship's not giving anything back to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're finding in this dynamic right now of the twin flames, is what I'm experiencing anyway with most of the collective, is they're finding out that they've been giving,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not receiving anything back, and it's not a give, and it should be a mutual thing,
Yeah.
going back and forward with it. And it is when you create this creation with the divine first.
Yeah.
When you create
Exactly.
it with a human, right, a physical being first, and this is what people need to really understand, is when you create it with a physical being first, then you have to go through the karmic um, blueprint that needs to be pulled out of both of you
Yeah.
in order for that to even mesh or anything, because that that man is not designed by God yet. That woman is not designed by God yet. That they're still designed by the modelization of their parents,
Yeah.
or whoever they looked up to in that relationship template. You know what I mean? So it's
So
very important for us to understand it at a different level. I have many people that I work with from all over the world, and they're like, well, he's out doing this, and he's doing, or she's doing this, and they're judging them.
yeah.
And when you judge them, you're judging yourself. You're judging your soul. Is
Yeah.
what you have to understand. Is this is your soul. This is part of your spirit. And so when you separate the two, and and cause this duality, because that's what we've all experienced, right? We've experienced relationships in duality. Well, God's given us a gift that we don't experience it in duality. We experience it in harmony, a harmonious energy that kind of just flows together, one meeting each other. You, like I said, you start this telepathic energy with each other, and what it does is it starts making that flow that works, because you're creating it with the creator first.
Yeah.
You're not creating it.
One, yeah, and one of the things, and again, you have to forgive me because my memory is not intact. I'm running on fumes. But, but I remember you saying, you talked about the energetic helioscamos, the energetic merging that these couples do, and how that's done before they come together. Was that what you said?
Yes. So it's the Hermes Gamos coming together, right? So it's actually two energies intersecting, and coming to the merge. So when you first meet each other, it's you energetically connect, right? And that is what they call emerging, right? So your soul emerges, or your soul sees itself for the very first time
Mm-hmm.
since it's been sent here,
Yeah.
right? And right now we are on this planet where many of us are coming together with our twins. And the reason why is because we are bringing back the frequency of pure love. We are bringing back the divine ordinance of relationships and sacred marriage. We're bringing back everything and exposing all the tainted stuff that you're seeing on the planet right now. Like there's so much light on the planet right now that's the reason why there's so much darkness exposed.
Yeah. Well, your information, I would recommend. I don't know if I'd recommend watching the whole 3 hours because I didn't watch it, but
There was a lot.
I would tell people. I listened to. It must have been 30 minutes of this subject on Greg's show. It was very good. In fact, most everything that you said, including what you're saying today, is everything Morgan downloaded over 20 years. Said the same things are being said, in terms of anchoring this frequency back to the planet and the importance of it. And, it was nice to hear that. I hadn't heard somebody put it into plain terms like she does too often. A lot of times it's got a lot of the fluff around it. And I think that's where people get lost because of the distortion. And to your point earlier, they try so hard for it that they end up saying, I don't believe in it, and they start to go against it. Yeah.
But they try so hard from the outside.
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So when you're looking for something from the outside to fulfill you inside, then that's never going to happen.
Right.
Never. I don't care how many relationships you get into. I don't care how good it looks at the beginning, any of that stuff. Because what happens is, game on when you first come together. It's, the energies are, it's your spirit's, heightened spirit. But then your soul says, wait a minute, that's not my frequency.
No.
What am I doing with this person? Why is this happening? And then it starts to be where you start looking at them and you don't see them the same way anymore.
Yeah.
When you first come together, you see them as light. You see them as your reflection of light because you're only seeing their spirit. That's what brought you to intertwine, right? So then when you start losing that light and you don't see that light in them anymore, then you start seeing their flaws and you start seeing what you don't like about them, and you start trying to change them, and you start trying to get them to do what you want them to do, and all that kind of stuff. And that's the old patternizations of the template that we're getting rid of, because when you come together, you're supporting them in wherever they're at in their journey, and your guidance for them, you're holding space for them for a very, very long time. That's the main thing, is holding.
Yeah, you mentioned that last night, and I'm going to get onto the DNA thing, but you mentioned that last night, and one of the answers that you gave someone in the audience in regard to their what they consider to be their flame or twin was off doing this or off doing that, and you said, look, most of what one does for the other is to hold space from the higher awareness, and the connection actually supports them doing that. I thought that was a great answer. And then the other thing that you said, which is something that makes total sense, and Morgan's talked about it. I've had my own self-realizations that if you don't have what you want, I guess this could actually apply to anything, any aspect of this transition we call ascension, is to work on yourself. Because when you work on yourself, you increase your frequency, and obviously we're going to attract magnetically, like begets like. So, that's the real down to earth commentary and intel. Now, DNA, where I didn't hear much on the DNA part last night. Are you talking about DNA reprogramming?
Yes.
Are you talking? Okay. Can you just give me an idea of what your take is on DNA, what your experience with it is, and what your...
So what I have experienced, and I've been doing these activations for several years now, and each one's unique because each one of our DNA is unique, and it's built in a different frequency. But we've had so much mutation done to our DNA. So our DNA comes from, we have 12 strands of it. Well, we actually have 32, but they're invisible. A lot of them are invisible to the naked eye. So we end up with, and you actually have 144 strands that can be activated once you built your light and everything else. And 144 strands, it equals the equivalent of being in spirit 24/7 and being able to flow in that spirit through anything. So the DNA itself is like a computer. So every time you come in contact with anybody, it doesn't mean it doesn't face to face, on the phone, any interaction that you have with anybody, your DNA is imprinted. So you can come in contact with somebody and they may judge you. Your DNA is imprinted with that. And then that sends out an energetic cord to that person, and you and that person have to clear that judgment. And any kind of that kind of stuff, any kind of lower frequency connects within the DNA. You also can reprogram the script in your DNA, meaning that, let's say you have pain in your body, and every day, you just focus on this pain, and you keep focusing on this pain, and you keep focusing on this pain, and this pain gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You can write the script, and you can say, every day I get better and better. Mm-hmm. Every day I'm able to do more things. And the more that you just keep reprogramming that in, the more repetitiveness that DNA hears, it switches that whole script, and you will be fine in like a week. I've had people with back problems. I've had people with, sciatic nerves and different things like that who say, I get better and better every single day. And they do. Yeah. It's just like water. We're made of water and we're made of energy. So DNA is the same way. It's like a computer. You hear negative programming all the time, right? If you were a child and you heard nothing but negative programming, then that's all your DNA has to experience your reality at. The frequency, your DNA. So your DNA is like almost like a frequency band too. Yeah. So it sends out a magnetic frequency, like out to everybody around you, and it draws in energy that is in the same frequency with your DNA, right? So if your DNA, like I said, if you've been downtrodden the whole entire time you've ever been, from childhood to now, so you draw in people who do that to you, who treat you in that manner or disrespect you or put you down or any of that kind of stuff. But when you start building your inner structure, right, your DNA starts changing. And right now, collectively on this planet, that's what's happening. With all the solar eclipses we've had, the lunar eclipses we've had, the celestial events that we've had, every bit of that's part of restructuring our bodies back to the template of our divine origins, which have been mutated and pretty much hijacked by the government and by other entities that have come to this planet to dominate. And we've been subjected to it without our even knowing.
Yeah. Well, we know now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said for knowing, right? And it certainly seems like that the energy, the collective energies, by whatever means they come, are supporting the transformation of the individual and thereby two or more groups and the collective as a whole. It also seems like a time where, because of that availability, we've really got to be on our toes as far as what thoughts we carry forward, because it seems like the power of manifestation is becoming more instantaneous. How do you feel about that?
So yes, that's very much true, Phil. So our creative energy, which our creation energy is our sexual energy. So that energy is rising right now. And what that means is it's causing us to have instantaneous manifestation. Okay.
Mm.
So you have a bad thought about something or you worry about something, you're going to bring that into your collective reality right away. Okay. You have a good thought or a creative thought, then it's going to add to that manifestation energy to boost it like 10 times fold right now.
Mm.
So your intentions really have a huge play in what's going on collectively right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Intentions are everything, right? I
yes. Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it used to be in the old codependent frequency. It was like a game, you know. Oh, you said this. No, I didn't. Or you think that. No, I didn't. And it was like a game. It was like what you said and what you thought uh, was part of the way people navigated and engaged each other. But now uh, you're really rewarded, like you said, tenfold when you align everything. And because it's a process, we're going to have thoughts, but we
Right.
don't have to keep those thoughts. You can delete, alt control delete, and switch it. I think self talk was highly touted, I guess for a long time, but especially, like in the self help books that were big in the last century, a lot of affirmations and such. But I think it seems like that type of thing, the affirmations and the self talk, seem to be much more of a player now than they were 50 years ago. But then again, I guess that has to do with the new energies, the new expanded energies that are available to us.
Well, as I was telling you, we've got so much more light on the planet, and this is the reason why affirmations and things like that are being held, in our consciousness now.
Yeah,
Whereas before we would say affirmations and it wouldn't really matter because the mass collective was not even
yeah,
involved in
yeah,
clearing or exposing or removing anything that wasn't, in the divine origins of our being. So I think that right now we're in the space where, the very first thing is to envision what you want. It's important for us to really see our dreams and see above them, meaning that all possibilities are, open for us at this time. A lot of us light workers, we were in service. We're constantly helping others. We're guiding people. We're doing all this stuff. And what we have to do for ourselves is we actually have to see this inner manifestation of our dreams.
yeah,
We have to
and,
see it coming to fruition.
yeah. And that's interesting too, because a lot of the old school philosophies and religious schools of thought talk about, and they're right, even today, about wanting. Like the more you want something, the more resistance there is, basically. But there is a higher level of desire, which maybe you're calling it dreams, and maybe it's could be further defined as the alignment of universal will with your own free will. Because to your point, a lot of people are out here already throwing themselves into service. We're moving out of an atmosphere of giving everything up to everybody else and forgetting about ourselves. So we've kind of found ourselves, but there does seem to be some type of alignment between our personal experience, and there's no reason, it would make no sense that we aren't to enjoy ourselves and to experience at an embodied level, a higher level of bliss, joy, happiness, and so on. Right?
I believe that when you do create this intimate relationship with God, Creator, Source, when you create that, you also are creating your inner kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts there, and I'm seeing manifestation of my dreams all over the place, like in collectively, globally, all over. Seeing a lot of the things that I have desired since I was a child
Mm.
happening. And so what I'm finding out is the more that I inner reflect inside me and connect and establish that intimate relationship with source energy, with God, it's manifesting. like it's
Yeah.
coming as a manifestation. I think that what we've been taught is we've been taught that, to find something outside to create that for
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
and fulfill that void that we've kind of experienced in ourselves.
Yeah.
And we think that somebody else has to help us get to that space for us
Well,
when
that's the way the false matrix was built.
right.
You're the last person you're going to look to for salvation and protection is yourself. But now we've kind of turned that. You mentioned, and you don't have to talk about anything that you don't want to. I'm just having a conversation. You mentioned last night that you have a partner. Do you have a partner?
Well, I have a twin flame that I've
Okay.
been telepathically in
Okay.
communication
Okay.
with, and yeah.
Because you got into that. You talked about how there were different types. You even talked about
Yes.
how it could be a mother and a son and different things
Yes.
like that.
Or
I
it could
just,
be someone who's crossed over
yes.
and has walked into another vessel.
Yeah. I remember that part of it. Can you just, because I don't want to go too far over, but you mentioned walk-ins and not in the, and I'm not asking in the respect of couples. Can you, because I've heard different things on walk-ins.
Okay.
Uh, and so could you just kind of give me an idea of what your take is, your understanding is of walk-ins?
Okay. So what I've understood it as, I get a lot of confessions from those who have crossed over, and so what happens is I also experienced my own father. He committed suicide, and I ended up going through his whole entire process and seeing that and understanding it at the level that my dad brought it to me at spirit, and it was pretty wild seeing what they actually go through. They go through what they call the ripple of time, and they stand in front of this screen, and it's got every single uh, thing in their DNA. So like what I see, my dad experienced, and so it's like every person that they've ever come in contact with, and how each person that they came in contact with, how it imprinted their soul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they experience it in a euphoric state because there's no right or wrong in the
Right.
afterlife kind of thing, right? So one of the things that I learned from this is that when someone crosses over, they actually go through that, and then they go through each and every person that they may have caused harm to, any of those kind of things whatsoever. They go through their energy field, and they can get stuck in someone's energy field if there's anger, resentment,
Mm-hmm.
any lower form of energy, because then it has to be that spirit has to work that karmatic energy out of that vessel. Okay, so with my dad, it was like a free open because I loved him purely. I didn't have any judgment against him. I didn't, even though he wasn't the greatest modelization for me, it was something that happened within that. So what I've experienced is once they've crossed over and they've gone through like a love ascension, right? They go through a love ascension type center and clear all of their own stuff, then they're able to come in as a walk-in
Mm.
within another person. So what that means is, let's say I activate somebody, and I'm just using this as an example
Yeah.
because it could be anybody activating them. But let's say they get activated, and this vessel has already agreed in its contract, its soul contract, with this other spirit that at this time, this date, this present situation, that they were going to walk in. And so what it happens is they come into their consciousness, their
Mm-hmm.
spirit like almost comes together, merges, almost as if a twin flame, right? Almost
Yeah.
the same thing. They merge together like that. And there's a bonding of them, like a cohesive bond that happens. And it's really strange because that person, that vessel, whoever got, the walking came into, will still recall all of his past, will still recall all of everything that's ever happened to them. It's their consciousness will be in a higher state.
Yeah.
They'll receive more, gifts, abilities.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I mean, I hear people talk about complexes, energy complexes, which would be at a high, well, in another dimension, another frequency, whatever, that's, I guess, kind of the same thing. It's made up of two or more individualities or something like that. So that would make sense. So that you're saying that a walk-in is well, it's adding, it's creating a more complex, expanded consciousness within that's housed in the incarnated human.
Right, right. So the vessel is still open. Another thing is that there's also soul walk-ins. So soul walk-in is someone who, let's say, someone's really sick, and their vessel is dying. This physical vessel is dying. Then a soul can walk in and they can be completely healed. And that's what we're experiencing right now too, is what like God's miracles or whatever.
Now, in a what did you call that one?
Soul walk-in.
Okay, soul walk-in. And the other one is what?
Just a walk-in.
Just a walk-in, yeah. So a soul walk-in, does one go out and one comes in?
Yes.
Okay. And then the human aspect still retains everything because it's in the body.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So the computer, the mental is merged with the physical and the spiritual, right? So in a soul walk-in, it's like a merge. That spirit leaves, that the one who's sick, the one that physically can't live on this planet anymore. So we're spirit first. So this is why it's so exciting for me, and getting involved in all this and everything, is because we're spirit first, right? Yeah. So our spirit can leave our bodies without us dying.
Yeah.
And that's, people don't understand that. I see people walking around with no spirit all the time. I see them pretty much zombie-eyed,
Wow.
Their spirit's gone. People that have been in like comas and or things to that manner, their spirit is still, their soul's still with them, but their spirit is somewhere else. You can look in their eyes and you can see that spirit is gone.
I think the eyes tell it all, don't they?
It is. The eyes are the key to the soul.
Yeah.
And so you open the doors to that soul, you see everything. And that's, I've been given that gift. God, has graced me with that gift to be able to see into the eyes of everyone.
Right on.
And it's, it's beautiful because it's also healing. You see things that people don't see and give them that insight. One thing that has been so amazing to me is the technology we have now. I've been doing energy work for quite a while now, and I started with horses, and I'm seeing the energy work that, that the devices they have now, they can read your biofield and they can, see your actual, what I see, So for me, this has been really exciting because it's like, what, now I don't have to sit there and try to, get these people to understand it or get them convinced that, what's going on. They're going to be able to see it for themselves. Yeah. And I think that's huge, what we're experiencing with that.
Where do you think we're at collectively? I mean, there's so many different, and there has been, we're going to have a big event and, 2012 and Y2K and this and that and this and that. I don't think anybody really knows. How could we? I mean, we're here, we're all about expansion. I mean, what's true today's less true tomorrow because we've reached a higher state of awareness and discovered new things we didn't know, like shadow or whatever. But what do you think's going on? 2020, in 19 and 18 and 17, I mean, they've all been more accelerated and more expansive and more intense. But this one seems to have that same characteristics, but a little bit of a different spin. And there seems to be a very quick payoff when we go through the fire. Other than that, I don't really know. I really couldn't say anything, but it collectively, individually, any way at all. What are your thoughts on 2020, whether it be the potential or probability or whatever?
So 2020 is about clear vision. It's about seeing clearly. It's about actually our eyes being restored back to their divine origin, meaning that we don't no longer allow deception. We don't no longer allow being mistreated. We see a very clear vision of where we're going in our lives. We see a very clear vision of our desires being manifested. We see a very clear vision of collectively how we are all coming together and establishing and anchoring love on this planet and acceptance. I believe that this is a year of acceptance, which means that, the two things that we thrive for more than anything else is love and acceptance.
Yeah.
And I believe that since 2012, we've been trying to establish love, right? Most of us have. Most of us been, working on that for a very long time. And we've established it. It's anchored here on this planet, and it's anchored in a higher frequency. So like I was saying, is like everything so there's two creations going on here. Okay. So there's one creation that has been created in a lower frequency, or a false god,
Yeah.
religion, church and state, politicalism. All that stuff is all part of the Antichrist system. It's all part of the apocalyptic creation, which I will let you know, in every single person's DNA, that has been imprinted and mutated within it.
Sure.
For you to believe it, for you to receive it, for you to not question it, for you to not sit there and say, why are these, big, huge storms happening out of the blue? Why are all this stuff? Oh, well, because it's revelations. It's supposed to happen. No, this is stuff that's created by man. This is, HARP. This is devices that they're using to manipulate God's creation. So like I said, there's two creations going on. There's true source creation, which is our source that all of us are combining ourselves into and we are all connected to, which is the true creation of God, which is love. And then you have this false creation that man has created, and as well as I do, that's a huge false creation of love. That's a huge false creation of separation.
Mm-hmm.
It's teaching us that we're separate from each other.
Right.
It's teaching us that we're separate from other people's hearts, and it's teaching us all of the negative things in life. And I really bring this up because it's huge, as our thoughts create. Okay, so when I'm working with people, you guys really think about what thought forms you've created. Okay. So what are your belief systems in this thought form? I only say his name to you guys because I'm using this as a metaphoric example. Satan. Okay, so when you believe into this energy form, you're bringing energy to create him to be physically in form. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are creators. Okay, so what happens is when we focus our energy on any thought, it becomes our reality. Okay, you thought forms, people have thought forms of zombies, and people have thought forms of vampires, and people have thought forms of all this stuff. And then physically you're seeing it being created on the planet. Yeah. You're seeing all this darkness become physically manifested because of the lower frequency thought forms you're allowing within your head. Okay, your mind, we only use like a very, very low percentage of what our mind really is capable of doing or creating. Okay, and these lower frequencies know how big our mind is and how expansive it is.
Yeah.
And what it really can do for creation. So what it does is it uses our energy in different forms through thought, right?
Yeah.
Bringing you into a lower frequency means, oh yeah, you know what? I can use that vessel all day long to create from. Okay. So it's the only thing that they can create is disease, death, destruction, chaos, deprivation, all these different things that are not in God's creation.
Yeah.
And what we're all doing collectively when we come together like this in these shows and things like that, we are exposing that energy.
Yeah.
We are exposing it at public view. Okay.
Yeah.
However many people are listening to this right now, we're exposing it. Plain and simple. Whistle blow. Hello.
Yeah.
Blow the whistle. I don't care. Because another thing you guys got to understand too, these thought forms are nothing but thought forms.
That's
They
right.
cannot take any kind of harm to you or anything unless you allow them in you.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot, we can be sitting here speaking just like we are right now, and not any one of them hear us because our frequency is so high that they can't tap in.
Yeah.
They can't see or hear. So a lot of the mapping that's in the Bible about speaking about, those who can hear and those who can see, that's a huge thing, because that means that you're protected because you have your eyes wide open. You have your ears fully operating, right? So these platforms, you really have to believe and to understand what they mean. Even the thought of death, okay? So this is a big, huge one right here, is because death, when we allow or we believe death can take us, right? We've been structured to believe that we grow old and we die. That's been a structure that's been around ever since the Adam and Eve days, right? So what happened was they believed in death. When they believed in death, death opened a porthole within us where death frequently came through us. Like I said, every thought that comes through you is from spirit. What spirit are you allowing within you? Spirit from heaven or spirit from lower frequency? And when I say lower frequency, I say that because I don't believe in hell. I don't believe.
Well, I don't either. Yeah. But I mean, this goes back. I mean, this has been talked about for thousands of years. I mean, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's a quarter of that, the quarter of those texts are about the archons. And to your point, all they can do, they can't manifest. All they can do is distort.
Yes.
If you think about that energetically, what's the difference between that? I mean, so in essence, they did. I don't think any of that stuff is as strong as it was. Obviously, we're all rising together, but so it infects and then controls through consent, say a newspaper editor of the New York Times to put out false propaganda or false flag frequencies or whatever. So you're right though. The more that we talk about it, whether it's you in the room talking to the universe, or me and you in front of 100 people, or 2 people in a park talking about it, the more this reality, the true reality, grows and expands.
Yes.
I mean, it's good to, in this realm, to verbalize things, because it really brings in all the different frequencies available, but telepathy and verbalization, the 5 senses, the higher senses, the visuals, the voice, the sound. So yeah, it's important. It really is.
Another thing too is there's a big issue about, I'm going to say the word coronavirus. Okay. So this is something that was man-made in a lab.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay? It was created part of the apocalyptic creation, which the apocalyptic creation, you're seeing it right in front of your face. Okay. So one way that they can hide things is do it right in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a comic that was done, a comic strip in 2017, and one of the names of the guy that was in this comic was coronavirus. He happened to kill millions and millions of people on his chariot, and it's so crazy because it actually shows Japanese people, and it shows the United States, and it shows it starting to merge. It's really a wild thing when you think about it. It's right in front of our face. We've just been hidden to a lot of the exposure of it because, a lot of us are blinded by what, is going on. It's,
Yeah.
we have been desensitized so through frequency. So frequency is huge, guys. Huge, huge, huge. When you hear something from somebody and you accept that belief system, like coronavirus, okay, you accept it. You say, okay, you know what, God, I gotta prepare for it, and I better get ready for it, and I better buy masks, and I better buy, all these Lysols and everything else to disinfect myself and do all this stuff. I better walk around with a mask on my face and full body gear or whatever. When you accept that into your field of energy, so that's what we are, is a big huge field of energy, you accept that in, you've allowed yourself to become a target of it.
Yeah.
Point blank.
That's the consent.
That's
We think consent is signing a promissory note or a contract. Consent is bringing it into your reality as a part of the reality. So, I mean, I try to keep things simple. So, we just let my own self be true, and we keep talking to each other, and not supporting each other from a codependent frequency, but supporting each other as we are each other. I mean, it's like it can get kind of complicated, all this stuff out there. It's a lot of information, but really, when you get right down to it, we control everything from where we sit. We don't
like
have to go in. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. We can.
We're this big, huge energy field. Okay, so any belief that you believe in,
Yeah.
you're allowing that in your energy field.
Yeah.
Somebody tells you, that they can grow gold out of a carrot, and you believe it. That's now in your energy field. That's now imprinted in your DNA. That's now became your truth. So it really is important to dissect your beliefs about death, your beliefs about life, your beliefs about God, your beliefs about source, your beliefs about every single thing, relationships, all these different things. And if you're just new to this relationship of twin flame energy and everything else, or you're not new to it and you're in it, the best thing to do, guys, is sit down and write down exactly what you are looking for. Exactly what you were looking for, from the eyes to the toes, exactly what you're looking for. Be very detailed. Be very detailed. You want to mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially secure, safe, and sane. Okay. Those are huge, 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 huge things to say. And not only that, but then you also want someone, and you give that detail of what you want, someone who's going to be a partner with you, someone who's going to be in your vision, and then you vision and see that person becoming physically manifested. So it's important for that.
It's real, I can tell you that. Morgan says she has a list like that. She has her stuff in storage in Australia, has for 4 or 5 years, but there's a drawer on a chest somewhere or whatever. She made a list.
Me too. I made a list, and God said, I'm bringing him to you in the physical. I met him as a client, not even maybe a month later.
Wow.
Even gave me the name.
Wow.
Like, gave me the name too.
Far out.
So, when you have this connection, you're 24/7 in guidance. You're protected. You have the seal around you, and you're sealed. And it's just important for us to really understand that, this is something that's gifted to us.
Yeah.
And we really have to understand it as a gift.
Well, and you can look at it too, like, I try to simplify everything for myself. You care for yourself as you would the universe, as if you were the creator. You're
an extension to the creator, because
of course, but if you're duplicating, if you're reflecting, I guess, a frequency that's founded on the intention of being the creator, caring for its creation, it in itself is where you're reprogramming. I guess that's the term that Morgan uses a lot. And I'd say programming it, but it is reprogramming, because of what you said earlier. So many things are shrouding our DNA, or shrouding our soul, however you want to put it. And that's really what we've been doing these last few years, is shedding the shadows, facing the fears. And now there seems to be really concrete evidence and occurrences and events uh, of what you would call miracles, magic, supernatural transformation, skills and ability, instantaneous healings. And that energy is the most powerful energy, because it's all rooted in the creation energy, which is pure love.
Right.
It's a great time to be here.
It
What
is. I'm
what part of
excited.
Florida?
I'm
What
excited
part
for
of
what's to
what part of
come.
Florida are you in? Did you tell me? What
No,
what part of Florida are you in? South Florida?
Naples.
Oh, you're in Naples. Okay. Yeah, we're going to be heading down to Fort Lauderdale from St. Pete Beach into the month, so we might pass through there. I like that area. I love Sanibel Island. Or I used to. I don't know what it looks like now.
Well, I'm up north right now, but I'm making my way back that way.
Oh, you're up north. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But it's like I said, it's been very enjoyable. I've been in the wilderness and really have been stripped from everything and anybody. And it's been really amazing because you really find that inner connection, and you
Yeah,
also find that connection to source,
yeah.
nature. Nature is a huge mirror to our creator.
It's really, I've been doing it here. The weather hasn't been perfect every day, but with the energies and just a quick walk down to the beach and just stand there, barefooted for 20 minutes and don't have to think about anything, or I could be thinking about whatever, and it really makes a difference. It really does. And
Uh,
it's easy. It's easy. It's easy to
Also,
do.
when you're making your list, remember whatever you're listing, you need to become that yourself.
Yeah.
You can't ask for somebody to become something that you want unless
No,
you are part of that.
absolutely. Yeah. Like begets like.
That's
Well, I
right.
appreciate it. Maybe we can collaborate again in the future,
Oh,
and
I love you. Thank you
maybe
so
we'll
much for having me
yeah,
on.
maybe we'll get a chance to meet up together. There's a lot of that going on this year. So, but I,
Okay.
I really, I really appreciate you coming on, especially after being on that marathon last night. I had to give Greg
Well, I appreciate you having me on here,
yeah.
and I'm thankful that you were able to do another radio show today.
Mm,
Um, I hope that you do the breath because I think it really will help. You know, keep you to where you're in your higher energies and not
yeah,
being down by any energy at all.
yeah,
And that's another thing that I see in your field too is there's a lot of energy pulling at you, so we need
yeah,
to like move
yeah.
that.
I do my best just to, I'm getting to the point where I'm not even opening messages anymore. I just, it's just, I'm getting that, and I think maybe it must be collective. But yeah, it's like without judgment, without assumption, you just kind of shut it down. It's okay to shut it down.
Well,
But
I call it loving from a distance.
yes,
You know,
yes,
it's being there and being present
mm,
and being one with that energy, but yet also having, so like I said, your spirit first,
yeah,
but you're also in your incarnation, right?
yeah,
So being spirit first means that yes, you're that loving, kind, compassionate energy, and then being in that carnation means that you have divine boundaries.
yeah. Well, this last couple 2-3 days has been a lot of energy, and I've made a point to rest, and I've made it a point to go inside, and I made it a point to drink a lot of water and
Out
relax, and still I can feel it. It's just like, and all
heavy.
I know is that something's coming in, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to try to reach for the details, because whatever it is, it's good.
Well,
But it does.
definitely contact me, and I would like to schedule something with you, and
Okay.
maybe we'll be able to go ahead and get that done.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it before the eclipse, so
Okay. All
it'll
right.
be a
I'll talk to
great.
Morgan. And
Yeah.
okay. So all right. You take care. Thank you so
All right. Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. And you have my information that you can send out to everyone else. And
Yeah.
any of your callers who are interested in the activation, I'll do it
Yeah.
for 150 for them.
Okay. And where do they find you? Or if you could put your links in the comments of the Facebook Live. This will also be on YouTube in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
so
they can
yeah.
contact me on Facebook. private message me, and I can give them my details then.
Yeah, and if anybody sees this and has a problem, just hit me up. Oh, somebody put it up, Tiffany at intuitivednahealer.com. Okay.
That's
So,
my email.
all right. You take care.
All right. Thank you, Todd.
Until the next time.
Until the next time. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.